Hi, thank you for your question. So, for those who don't know, my name's MJ. I'm female to male. But before my transition, I had a biological son. I mean, I still have him. It feels so weird when I say I had a biological son because obviously, he's still in my care. I have him. This is me when I was pregnant, and I was with my son's father for a while. Probably, I'd say till my son was like 6 months old. The relationship with my son's father was very, very volatile. It was not a healthy relationship. It was not good. Trigger warning 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. He pled guilty to assaulting me. And by the time he passed away, when my son was 7, I think it was he had 7 victims. And that's from court, like ones that he actually went to court for. My son and we ended up leaving. I moved back in at home. I did everything I was supposed to. Like I said, I got my license. I got a college education, high honors. I was on the dean's list. Maintained employment. I got sober. Graduated recovery. So it was just him and I. So obviously, I did everything in my power to ensure that my son wouldn't be around his father. And I know there's people out there who would scoff at that, but it was a very dangerous situation, and I didn't feel like my son was safe there. I ended up facing 11 contempts in court. 11. Every time I refused to hand my son over, he'd go to the police station, write a report, and then I'd have a contempt against me. So in the end, I had no option. I had to allow my son to visit him. I started transitioning when my son was about 3 years old. He is 3 there. Every time I show pictures of my son and I, everybody's like, there's no way he was that young because he's so tall. He's still tall as hell now. Like, I'm telling you, he was like probably like 3.5 in this photo. And in the beginning, when I started my transition, my son's father was very supportive. Even there was at one point when I had my top surgery. Hold on. This is me shortly after top surgery. I feel like I gotta say this for anyone who's new. I chose to leave fat in my chest because I'm a bigger dude. It just works with my body. But as you can see here, I had complications. I had to have a heart monitor. I had I had a reaction to one of the strips or sterile strips, whatever. And it's so funny because it was shaped like a diamond. But anyways, during this time, recovery was a little rough for me. I ended up needing to get another surgery because my gallbladder went gangrene. And I had heart complications when I woke up from surgery. It's from an arrhythmia, so don't anybody get like worried or anything like that. It was because, it could have happened. Like, I knew it could have happened. But during this time, my son brought type A flu home from school. So then on top of all that, I had type A flu. And my mom, who was helping me recover and care for my son, she also got sick. So my son's father had to step in and help. And he was actually very supportive and helpful as far as I know during that time. But then I got a knock on my door from 2 police officers. They said that he was involved in a high-speed chase. They thought it was drug-related. Then come to find out, it was actually multiple high-speed chases. He was not sober. So I did what I had to do. I went to the courts and I filed a motion for emergency custody, and he was not happy. That began like a strip of time that was just terrible for my husband and I. Like, not our marriage, but like just going through it in general together it was really rough. He decided he would weaponize me and my husband being trans men, against us. He wanted to paint a picture that since we weren't a traditional family unit, that we were like influencing our kid to be like, I don't know, I guess non-traditional. He actually teamed up with a local church, and supposedly they were going to like help support him in court and everything, through the process, to paint us as, bad influences just because we're trans and we're in a gay marriage. Well, technically, I'm my husband's wife, like on paper, but whatever. It was a really scary time. It was a really dirty court case. It was so scary. Like, I remember one time, so we didn't step foot in the town that, he was from during this time, because I was scared. But one day we were driving home from Vermont and we went that way. We're like, we're only gonna be in there, in the town for like 15 minutes. Like, who cares? Well, prior to this, like, we got word from our neighbors and we saw it too. Like, there'd be these black SUVs, like, driving slowly by our house, and, like, he'd know stuff about, like, what was in our car and stuff. It was so creepy. Anyways, a vehicle that matched that description drove us off the road. It was so scary. Anyways, what's ironic about him pushing this whole traditional family unit as this very healthy, unified unit is he ended up overdosing before we could even go to court. So I think that says a lot. Here, me and my husband were. My husband was working his ass off, like just to make sure we could afford a good lawyer. We were both like we were working, we were sober, we were doing everything we were supposed to do, showing up for appointments for my son. We're the ones that take care of that, not him. We were the ones. But because of who we love, each other, and because of how we identify when it comes to gender, he was able to try to weaponize that in court and potentially take my son from the only home, like the only stable home that he's had consistently through his life. It's very scary, and I even get scared talking about it. But I refuse to not talk about this shit because I went through so much, A, and I don't want to be scared anymore, but also B, people in our community are so vulnerable in these situations when it comes to the legal system. I'm sure it's worse for like trans POC, and I just think it's important to talk about because the fact that you can literally turn your life around to the extent that me and my husband did. My husband's sober, my husband has turned his life around, and still be painted, or someone can like attempt to paint you in this horrific light just because of who you love, just because of how you identify. I mean, that's asinine. You guys, I forgot to say this, and I have to add this because it means so much to me. So, you know how I said that, like, my husband and I, we never stepped foot, in my son's father's, like, hometown because, like, we were just kind of, like, nervous, and I don't know, we were just nervous to even step foot because it was always, like, chaotic, it seemed, and it was just, I don't know. When you know that a local church is like out to get you in the court system, I mean, you don't want to go there. Well, I hope this is okay to say, because it meant the world to me. Obviously, I won't name any names. I won't whatever. But it just meant the world to me. Somebody from that area actually reached out to me after, and they said, "Is your son's father so and so?" And I was like, "Yeah." And they were like, "Well, I just want to let you know that one day, I was with some other people. He came up to us, and he explained his story about how, he was supposedly like with the church and he was going to like try to take your son away because, you're trans, whatever. And I know they were telling the truth because they had like specific details. And they were like, I just want to let you know that we were like, you're being an ass. And he got mad and left. I mean, so people in that town were really looking out for us, and I didn't even know. And that just like literally, that's so sweet. So I had to add that because maybe there's more people in your court than you think.